kicks the pain we can't hush, and then they find us. We're the real tough guys, breaking down barriers. We aim for the skies, into the octagon like a warrior I stand. Slaying blood, taking hits as I command. The art of combat, I'm ready to go. Submission, knockout, that's how I flow. Unleashing the fury like an untamed beast, locked in a cage where strength is released. Striking precision, grappling with might, the golden octagon. The stage we ignite. Unleashing the fury like an untamed beast, locked in a cage where strength is released. Striking precision, grappling might, the golden octagon. The stage we ignite.
And we are live from the Golden Octagon Studios in Norfolk, Virginia. This is the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast with your hosts, Matt and D. Rose.
Well, didn't take the banner off. Silly old me. What is going on, everyone? And welcome to the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast. My name is Matt. D. Rose is on that side of your screen, and we are here to talk about some fights, some fight news. And pretty much anything else that the chat brings up. It usually goes off the rails pretty quickly. So with that being said, we appreciate all of you guys for stopping by, hanging out with us here tonight. An actual rundown of the show is if we have anything to say that we didn't say, anything that we didn't say about UFC 302 on Sunday, D Rose, I'm going to let you get that off your chest. I've already eaten the beans, so I'm not going to do that. You see the gold strap over D Rose's shoulder. Did that Saturday night after the fights as well. We've got a lot of UFC news and fight announcements to go over. A lot of big drama show going on in the UFC right now. Kind of feel for Michael Chandler, but we'll talk about it. And lastly, we'll close out the show with our UFC Fight Night Louisville Cannonier versus Imavov predictions and picks. And real quick before we even go any further, how funny was it when we were on the post-fight this past weekend and we're like, Imavov versus Cannonier, that's an Apex card without a doubt. And then I think it was Tuesday, I was actually like starting to look into the fights and I realized that this is a Louisville card. So crazy, dude. With that being said, how have you been over the past week or so, D Rose, or since this past weekend, D Rose? And I'll start getting the chat pulled up and we'll start chatting the chatters.
Things have been great over here. Still kind of upset over the Poirier loss. Was really going for him, but yeah, kind of looking back at that card, kind of thinking about it now, and we didn't really talk about it too much. Card kind of sucked up until the main event. I heard Islam say that basically their fight saved the whole card because the card was boring up until then. After I heard Islam say it, I was like, he's not lying. Because, the card was, won some money, so I couldn't gripe too much. But, yeah, it was, in terms of the pace of the card, it was definitely not one of the best, considering some of the pay-per-views that we had. Hell, even 301, it might not have even had the names, but UFC 301, it was finish after finish on that main card, so at least made it worthwhile.
I agree, man. I can't complain, though, because it was a good betting night for your boy over here. So, with that being said, let's shout out the chat. We got Austin stopping by first saying, what's up? Appreciate you stopping by tonight, Austin. We got Riley dropping by with a what up. And then Sugar Sharp, what up, guys? Look at that, 3 what-ups in a row. And then we got the loyal Lushlow Maine stopping by another Golden Wednesday with the boys. I'm glad to see you back in here, Lush. Getting a little worried, man. had a couple streams and didn't see you. I was like, I wonder where Lush is at. Glad to see you back in here, man. Glad to see you're still here. So with that being said, I'm late to the party on this one. You guys see that thing with Macy Barber almost having to beat up some random old lady or some random lady. Yeah, this was like, I think a couple months ago, right? Where like the lady,
at least
it
about a
was
month
like
ago.
some kind of like road rage incident, like maybe like possibly like a fender bender. I don't know what it was, but it was like, dude, this lady has no idea what could possibly come her way.
And to actually get in Macy's face and say that she was going to whoop her ass and stuff, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, dude. I mean, you know how much of a Macy Barber fan I am too, but dude, she's a savage, man. I mean, you don't want to, that's one of the very few women you want to try to push to that limit.
Yeah, I agree. We got Lens the Rock saying, "What's up? Appreciate you stopping by, Lens the Rock." We got Tim dropping the $5 donation to start us off. So I appreciate you, Tim or Polmick, for dropping the donation. Getting us started off early on the night. Appreciate it, my guy. We got Manny Avello saying, "Hey Matt, if you were a fighter, what weight class would best suit you?" Man, if I am in the best shape, I would probably walk around like 165, something like that. So probably 135, 145, somewhere like that. And dude, that would be a big bantam / featherweight because I'm like pretty much Max's size, right? Like, right?
You think you would fight at bantamweight? Wow.
Probably, yeah.
That's crazy. I guess because I guess thinking for myself, I've always, me, I've always been a heftier dude. I mean, I'm skinnier now. Back in the day, I was always a heftier guy. I mean, I walk around like 195 or so now. So I think if it was me at best, in my best physical shape, I could probably get down to 170. I mean, that's cutting out a lot that I
But you gotta think that's like not like you gotta think your weight, and then you gotta cut 15 pounds of just water weight as well. So maybe D Rose could get down to 155 with proper nutrition and weight cut. 155 for D Rose.
I'm probably gonna be 170, man. I mean, if there was a 165 division, I'm kind of like that tweener like Kevin Lee, man. If there was 165, I'd be all right. But yeah, I think I'd have to settle for 170.
Yeah, dude. Like a few months ago, I would say probably like last year sometime, I weighed 168, dude. I was like, dude, that's pretty legit. And then I started eating again, and now I'm back up close to like 180. Anyway, hey Matt, quickly, if you were a UFC, okay, that's the same thing. Yeah, sorry for missing a few lives. The hospital is a terrible connection. I apologize, Lush. I'm glad that you're back. You're here, man. Hopefully everything is okay. And we got Tim saying, well, that's probably his little chat that didn't show up. But I appreciate you, Tim. Thank you, man. So with that being said, D Rose, we kind of talked about UFC 302. There's not really anything. You kind of said what I want to say, dude. That card was not the best card, dude. Like 2 finishes, like the whole card, dude. It's just like, God, that was I'm glad I hit the pay for the pay-per-view parlay. I didn't feel as bad because it was like free to me, if you will, or I only paid like $10 for it. It didn't hurt as bad. But yeah, I'm not the best one. I've already ate the beans, so if you guys want to see what flavor my beans were, go back and watch the recap.
Are you sure you don't want to eat them again today, just to have a recap to make sure that the boys, they get to see it all again?
I'm sure, man. I am sure. So, with that being said, I did not pull up the news for the day. So why not get started with the main topic, D Rose? I have on this Schmedium shirt. This once fit me, but spent through the washer and the dryer a few times, and I have no business wearing this shirt now. But I wore it for the podcast today, so I didn't forget the big drama show, if you will. Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler, dude. So let me set it up for you like this. UFC has took down all promo for it off of YouTube. I believe They stopped selling VIP tickets for UFC 303 for like the certain things and shit. There's a lot of shit going on right now, and you actually, like, you listened to the Ariel this Hawani thing earlier. I haven't got a chance to I like to listen to it yet, but yeah, what's your thoughts on, and I put it on the thumbnail for the day in the bottom right there, UFC 303 main event possibly being at risk. Is there something going on with Conor McGregor? Oh yeah, and also Michael Chandler left his training camp, went back to Nashville, and is like tweeting this, like, I don't know, like, like, I chose this life or some shit, like some shit like that. It's like, damn, all signs are kind of pointing to the UFC 303 main event, International Fight Week of Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler, the fight possibly being off. D-Rose, if that is the case, what is your thoughts, and do you think that's probably what's going to happen, or do you have hopes though?
I'm feeling pretty decent about it, and the only reason why is because I will say that Conor McGregor, you can say what you want about him. Man, whenever he is slated to fight, the dude doesn't pull out of the fight. Like, and you can go back to, multiple of his fights, whenever his fights are booked, in terms of finding different opponents and things like that. Like, he's always, even with the Nate Diaz fight, like the first fight, he was supposed to fight RDA at 155 for the 155-pound title, and then he's like, oh, well, screw it, I'll just fight Nate Diaz up at 170 then. Like, we'll just do that. So he's even willing to compromise like that in terms of being able to bend and not pulling out of a fight. So I do have confidence in him hanging in there, but man, it is looking a little bit gloomy when, he's kind of not really disclosing why the press conference ended up getting canceled the other day. The
That's what it was
really
as well.
Isn't. They're not really, coming up with a reason as to, why that happened. They're saying that they're going to postpone it, but I mean, at this point, we're talking about we're 3 weeks out from the fight. I would have to think that, that would interrupt some type of fight preparation between now and the start of the fight. So I can understand how people are a little bit weary, but if you base it off of Conor McGregor's past, the way that he's always been slated to fight and he always shows up, I'll have pretty good confidence that he ends up showing up. And I know Michael Chandler is going to show up because he's not going to want to miss out on this payday. He's already been begging for it this long. I think Michael Chandler will literally go in there on one foot. Like, I mean, if his other foot was chopped off, like, Michael Chandler would definitely limp around on one foot just to make sure he gets his Conor McGregor payday.
I agree, man. I agree 100%. Yeah, it just all signs are kind of pointing to this fight not happening, or at least being postponed. And if we're just going to keep postponing it, dude, like, geez, what is happening? Because why would Michael Chandler leave training camp and go home if the fight was still going to be happening? Why would they have canceled the press conference if the fight was still going to be happening? Why have they stopped the pre-sale and shit of the tickets if the fight is still going to be happening? Like, it's like, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I don't know if any of this is true. This is all, shit that I've heard or shit that I've seen. There's no more McGregor versus Chandler promo on YouTube. It's all gone from you. I like the UFC. Why would they take that away if the fight is still on? It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
That
does make sense. I mean, that's why I said it does point towards, like, I can understand why fans are a little bit weary, but I'll believe it until proven otherwise.
Gotcha. And off the top of your head, D-Rose, what would you think would be a viable replacement or a hold on? Let's get Dave Fish for Dave's question, bro, real quick. I'd be so pissed if I was Chandler, sitting idle all this time waiting for Conor, finally get a day, and nope. Dude, it just has to – it's a heartbreaker for Michael Chandler. I agree with you, Dave. What is a viable replacement fight for International Fight Week if that's not the main event, man?
Well, I guess we're speaking if Connor doesn't, and Connor ends up not making it. I mean, the tough part is everybody that you could think of that could fight him, that could fight Chandler, that would make a good fight. You would
Dude,
have to
say
try
it.
to substitute a title fight in
Yeah,
real quickly,
yeah.
wouldn't you? Like
Like,
maybe
you
like
would
Max
have,
for
yeah.
Max for the
You,
BMF. Maybe
you
that's
would
the only
have
thing I
to.
could think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have to get somebody who's going to be like a little bit bigger, but like Gaethje, Poirier, all those guys who are like action fighters who would be pay-per-view headline worthy of a big card like that. All those dudes are just coming off fights, pretty injured and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't know who else, Michael Chandler could really fight. I was going to say, maybe a Nate Diaz if they end up pulling him out of the woodworks, but I know he's got the match of Jorge Masvidal coming up, so he's not going to be able to do anything. So yeah, I mean the UFC's really at some slim pickings right now if Conor McGregor's not able to show up, because I mean he is the show at the end of the day on his pay-per-view card. So, and for the most part, the pay-per-views are typically pretty slim because where Conor McGregor's on the card and he's worth so much money to the UFC and they pay him for it. But usually the card suffers in the process. So yeah, it would be really hard just to be able to just replace McGregor, just like that.
Yeah, I don't. It would just be
yeah, maybe Max would be the only thing I could really think.
Possibly Alex. I don't know. Pull Alex out again. Like, all right, Alex, here you go, man.
Alex and Year.
Yeah, right. But what's the main? Yeah, but so what's the main event to save the card for International Fight Week? Saw what's going on. Yeah, we don't know yet. We don't know. That's actually what we're kind of talking about right now. If that's
it definitely can't be Jamal Hill versus Carlos Ulberg. It definitely cannot be that.
It's postponed at best. Wouldn't say they spent all that money. What am I saying? All the marketing on that fight and then deleting all the. Hey, I got you. Yeah, you can't. They're not going to postpone International Fight Week. Just the fight itself. Just the fight. Yeah. All right. Who? All right. Taporia, Max, Pereira, Yuri. Yeah, I would say one of those. One of those would be my guess. Leon and Aspinall set for July, indeed. Bro, that delay on the streams is crazy. Yeah,
you could do John Jones versus Stipe Miocic. There we go. Yeah. We got
it. And then we got Tim gifting 2 memberships. I appreciate you, Tim. I appreciate you, man. So, yeah, with that being said, fun news. Big drama show for UFC 303. So let's get into our actual news that we have for the day. Fight announcements, if you will. So our first one that we have is Santiago Ponzinibbio taking on the king of Kung Fu, Muslim Salikov. D-Rose, you care about this fight at all? This is going to be July 13th, the UFC Denver card.
If I'm going to be honest, I'm actually surprised that Muslim Salikov, did he win his last fight? For some reason,
he got smoked by Randy Brown. Like in the first round,
that's right. Yeah, that's why I'm like, because I really thought that he was going to end up being like cut from the UFC or like retiring or something like that. So I'm actually surprised to see his name, and we haven't seen Ponzinibbio what feels like forever. Has he even fought since that Kevin Holland knockout? I think that's the last time I felt like we saw him. Yeah, it's been a while for him too. So yeah, that's should be a decent scrap though.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll move on to the next one. Well, that's from this past weekend. All right. So our next one, oh man, D-Rose, this might be one of those fights, man, where it's like, dude, I couldn't care less in this fight. We know how I feel about, I think, both fighters at this point, dude. We got one fighter that knocks himself out, headbutting other fighters' hips. And then we got one fighter that's just dog water, dude. So, yeah. Do you care about this fight also taking place on UFC Denver, D-Rose?
I couldn't have said it better. You nailed it, dude.
All right.
You got that.
All right, we've got Abdul Kareem Al Sawadi taking on Guram Kutataladze. I believe this is going to be second UFC fight on going to be the UFC Abu Dhabi card. A huge step up in competition for Abdul Kareem Al Sawadi, huh?
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And Guram, welcome back. I feel like it's been a while since we've seen him as well. So
since Elvis Brenner smoked him in the third, dude.
yeah, dude. No, I mean, hell, that was my fight of the year last year, dude. That fight was an absolute scrap. So awesome fight from him. Just, ended up sucking for Guram. But yeah, that was awesome for the fans. But yeah, that should be and Kareem Al Sawadi, he looked pretty decent in his last fight too. So yeah, that should be a good fight.
Indeed. So we have up next, we've got Victoria Dudakova taking on Jacqueline Amarim. The staff hold, D-Rose, is going to be taking place in UFC Abu Dhabi. Do you care about this?
No.
All right. It looks like Andre Muniz is out, and Ikram Alaskarov will now face Antonio Tricoli. He just now fought not too long ago. That is next weekend, Heroes.
Why is it that Ikram fights once a year? He never fights anybody, and then he always ends up fighting a can when he's supposed to fight Paulo Costa. And
me and you have had this discussion. Me and you have had this discussion now multiple times. When he was matched up, who was he fucking matched up with?
Phil Hollis?
No, it was
Costa.
It may have been Costa or one other one, dude. I was like, I cannot wait to bet the shit out of whoever he's fighting, dude, because, dude, the only really good fighter we've ever seen him actually fight was Hamzat, and Hamzat smoked him, dude. So it's like, man, I just want to see him fight someone that I know is a pretty good fighter. So it's like, fuck, dude. Yeah. So this ain't gonna tell us shit once again. So I guess we'll see what happens next weekend. And then we've got Macy Barber, D Rose's girl, taking on former 115-pound champion Thug Rose Namajunas. This is going to headline UFC Denver. Or I'm sorry, not going to headline UFC Denver. This is going to be on UFC Denver. Oh yeah, headline UFC Denver.
But it is. Yeah, no, I believe it
actually
is.
Yeah, that's probably why I said headlines, because it said headlines UFC Denver. So main event for UFC Denver. Macy Barber getting the main event, dude. Yeah, Macy Barber getting the main event, dude. I was, this Denver's kind of close. Wouldn't maybe head out to that one, but if this is the main event, I think I'm gonna pass D Rose. I'm not gonna lie. I guess give me your thoughts on this one, dude.
Yeah, I mean, Macy will always bring the fight. You just never know what Rose is going to do, man. She can come out and have the best performance of her career and hit Macy with a 360 spinning heel kick, or she's going to literally just bounce and just only faint jab the whole fight. You just never know what you're going to get from her. But it should be a good fight as long as Rose brings that intensity, because we know Macy Barber's going to. She always brings that dog fight, and hell, you can make the argument that whoever wins this fight could be up for the title shot next. Even though Manning probably deserves a title fight as well, but I mean, I think at that point Macy would be on a 6-7 fight win streak, and Rose would take out 2 of the top contenders and has a pretty big name at this point as well. So you can make the argument that the winner of that fight could be next for the title.
I agree, man. But I got Alexa Grasso, my girl. Let's go Mexico. Gonna fucking smash them all. It don't matter. Anyway, we got an absolute banger here, dude. We've got the Iron Crimson Chin of Drew Dober taking on Mike Davis, dude. And Mike Davis doesn't fight too often, but he is good as shit, dude. This is also going to be on the UFC Denver card. So I believe Drew Dober's hometown, I believe. So he's going to have some hometown pop there. What's your thoughts on Drew Dober versus Mike Davis?
Yeah, that they're stacking up the Denver card pretty good because because Macy is from Colorado and Rose trained with Trevor Whitman and them and not Trevor Whitman but Pat Barry and them and Denver as well. So and then like you said, Drew Dober as well. And this should be a good scrap because Mike Davis, even though he only fights what seems like once in a blue moon. Every time he fights, he normally puts up a pretty good performance, and I mean he's always had power in his hands. He got good boxing, good wrestling, and I think Drew Dober is kind of a very similar guy. He's a little bit more of a wild man than Mike Davis is, but Mike Davis is willing to get into a scrap as well, so it should be a good fight.
I agree. I'm excited for that one. And then our last one, dude, we have Azat Maxim going to take on CJ Vergara on the Abu Dhabi card August 3rd. Do you care about that one at all, D-Rose?
Not really.
All right, fair enough. So, with that being said, we will jump into the chat, see if you guys got anything to say about the fight news, and then we will jump into this weekend's UFC fight card, our picks and such. So let's get back to the chat, and we've got Dalton saying Jones should be stripped. I don't know. To be honest, heavyweight isn't great. To be honest, as long as they don't replace the fight with WMA fight, no, they're not going to do that for International Fight Week. They're not going to do that. Defending the interim, it's okay. It's the GOAT. Let him do his thing. Let him fight this last time and then retirement, and then our champion will be Tom Aspinall. Everyone knows that at this point. It's okay. Dern Namajunas just got announced. Seems to be a nice fight. Yes, sir, indeed. Dern is going to be fighting Lupe Godinez, and Rose is going to be fighting Macy Barber. Yeah. Rose versus Barber. Yeah, I don't know. Dober versus Davis says, great fight, says Lynn's The Rock. I agree. So, with that being said, D-Rose, let's get into the good stuff for this weekend. We thought was going to be an Apex card, but it ain't. It's in UFC.
We're going to have a crowd.
It is in Louisville, Kentucky, right? Not too far away from D-Rose. I think you could be there, D-Rose, as quick as I could be to you, I believe.
I'm actually going to look it up right now just to see. 6.5 hours, so like about an hour more. But
yeah, a little bit more.
About 6.5, but still not terrible because I am scared to fly. I'm not gonna lie. So I know there's a couple people in here who have flown. You could probably tell me why I'm tripping, but yeah, I'm not one who's super eager to or super willing to go flying.
There's way more car accidents than there are plane crashes. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Yeah, that's because cars are running into each other. Not you don't see planes coming across one another and smacking each other out of the sky either. So, but the one chance that bitch does fall, I mean,
all right. All right. I'm sure you're not the only one, D-Race. I'm sure you're not the only one, man.
Yeah, so, people have survived car wrecks. There's not a lot of people who, like, when a plane crashes, they're like, "Yep, let me tell you about it when it happened that one time."
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, I just trust the people that it's their job to get me places to get me there safely. And if not, well, I guess I wasn't meant to be here any longer. That's the way I look at it, man. I'm just trying to go somewhere. Yeah. So with that being said, D-Rose, we have well, I have to click on the thing. Let's see if it's gonna work for me. I thought I clicked on it already. Just want to give me all these damn ads. Dude, do you see this? It's like every time I click it, a new ad pops up. Is it going to work for me?
It's like
third time. Dude, I had to click it 3 different times.
Secret?
Dude,
let's go.
I swear, the internet is almost unusable at this point, dude. It's like you can't do anything. without just being jammed with ads. Dude. It doesn't make sense.
You always have to pay for like some type of like free subscription bullshit, and it's like, dude, I'm just trying to view what I'm trying to view and get out of here. I ain't trying to pay for shit.
All right, man. So here we go. Thanks, Tapology. Get a better. I know you have to make money, but Jesus, do you have to have the ones that I have to click the X to get out of where I can see the fight like this? What are we doing, man? Do you have to have these? Like, I understand these. Okay, cool. But the ones that pop up in my face while I'm trying to look at shit, there's the irritating ones, like the pop-up ones. All right. Anyway, God, my life, dude. So with that being said, let's get into this weekend's fight card. UFC Fight. God, I hate my life. UFC Fight Night. Cannonier versus Imavov taking place this Saturday, June 8th at 5 p.m. East Coast time in Louisville, Kentucky at the KFC Yum Center, dude. That sounds like a delicious place to be.
The Yum Center? That's hilarious.
Indeed, the Yum Center, dude. We have 14 fights, and it is headlined by the Killer Gorilla, Jared Cannonier, taking on the Russian sniper, Nasruddin Imavov. Our co-main event, and this is where this card is like, okay, this is our co-main event. I don't know what's happening here. Our co-main event is Dominic, the Devastator Reyes, taking on Dustin, the Hanyak Jacoby. We've got Raul El Problemo Nino Rosas Jr. taking on Ricky. I think it's pretty Ricky Tercios. We've got Bruno the Hulk Ferreira taking on Dustin Stolfutz. We've got the Cuban Missile Crisis, Miley Cyrus's Valentine, Julian Marquez. He's going to be taking on Zach Reese. And Zach Reese lost by knockout to Cody Brundage. So, yeah. Probably my most targeted fight this week, D-Rose, the one that I have the most opinion on, is going to be Punahele Soriano taking on the returning Caramel Thunder, Miguel Baeza. Yeah, that's going to be a fun fight. We've got Thiago Moises taking on Ludovic Klein, Mr. Highlight Ludovic Klein, I believe. And then we've got Charles Radke. I can't say what I want to say his nickname is, but he's going to be taking on Carlos Prates. No, his nickname is Chuck Buffalo Charlie Radke, but he's the guy that just wants to drop slurs on ESPN. What an idiot, dude. We've got Superman Brad Katona taking on Jesse Butler. We've got Andrea KGB Lee taking on Montana De La Rosa. We've got Daniel Marcos. He is undefeated, and he is going to be taking on the sexy Maxi John Castaneda. We've got Eduardo Mora taking on one of my personal favorite up-and-coming fighters, Denise Gomes. We've got Cody the Spartan Stamen taking on Taylor Laplis. And our first fight of the night, D-Rose, I hope you did no fight research on these fights, because if you did, I feel for you just as bad when you watched Puja Tamar taking on Hayani Amanda, or Hayani Dos Santos, I believe. Yeah. So that's where we're going to start. Can you give the card a grade from, A to F?
Let's I'm a little more lenient on these cards when don't have to pay for them versus having to pay for them. I mean, name value fight wise, I mean, I'll give it a C plus. I'll be a little generous. Could it be a little bit better? Sure, but I'll give them credit for I've been talking about them getting on the road more. They're on the road, and I mean, if you look up and down the fight card right now, I mean, there's at least about 3 or 4 fights that I see, and I'm like, man, I'm going to be anticipating the fight. So yeah, there's a couple fights on here that are pretty solid. So I'll give it a C plus.
Dancing, what you're saying is I should lay my life savings on these picks. You got it. Well, my answer to that is no. I say this every week. Dude, you crazy people out there betting thousands of dollars on this sport, you're a psychopath, dude. This is a fist fight. At any point, one punch can end the fight, dude, and anyone can win on any night. We've seen the craziest upsets ever. So what you are hoping for is to get lucky. So if you're betting all your money on this fight, good luck, man. I do not advise. Okay. Wink. Give credit for getting out of the Apex. Yeah, but this for sure would have been an Apex card, without a doubt. But D-Rose, let's get into it. First fight of the night, we've got Puja the Cyclone Tamar taking on Hayani Amanda Dos Santos. Puja Tamar is 8-4, and she came out from fighting ONE FC, or that's where I saw her fights at. Yeah, we're in the ONE FC, dude. And dude, I'm not trying to say, ONE isn't as good as UFC, but I think we can agree that, dude, the majority of the best fighters are in the UFC. And if you're getting like the shit beaten out of you by these girls in like ONE that aren't the best in the world, man, not a good look. But this is the UFC's first Indian female fighter that they have signed. So are they trying to get her a win? I don't know, dude. Puja Tamar is 8-4 overall out of her last 5 fights. She has won 4 fights and lost 1. She is going to be taking on Hayani Amanda, where she is 14-7 overall out of her last 5 fights. She has won 3 of them and lost 2. She lost on the Contender Series via decision against Denise Gomes. So she didn't even get smoked by Denise Gomes. Then I believe that's some kind of grappling. Yeah, she went to Invicta, and she lost by Talita Alencar via split decision in her return fight 5 months ago. So hasn't won in the UFC yet, but has a pretty good experience record. Currently, odds for this fight, Hayani Amanda is minus 298, your favorite. Puja Tamar plus 240, your dog. The over-under on this fight, D-Rose, is set at 2.5, minus 190 for the over and plus 145 for the under. So not terrible odds for over in a female fight, especially 115-pound female fight. But Puja Tamar, 30 years old, 5'1", and we don't have a reach. But Hayani Amanda is 29 years old on the dot. She is 5'2" and a 62-inch reach. Yeah, D-Rose, I know I talked a lot and I said a lot, but now I'm not going to say much because Puja Tamar, dude, is just bad, dude. I think UFC is trying to get her possibly a winnable fight with this fight, dude. But dude, from what I've seen, she's just not good, dude. And I don't think I would pick her to win any fight. So give me Hayani Amanda to win this fight via second round submission. So which way are you going here, man?
Yeah, I did a little bit of fight research. I did nothing on this one, so I'm just going to go with Dos Santos just because she's the favorite and should win, I suppose. Wink, wink.
All right. So with that being said, me and D-Rose both on the favorite Hayani Amanda Dos Santos to defeat Puja Tamar this weekend. So we'll move on to the next fight, which is Cody the Spartan Stamen taking on Taylor Double Impact Lapalus. Interesting. So Cody Stamen, 21-6-1 overall out of his last 5 fights. He has lost 3 and won 2. Lost against Marab. Got choked out by Saeed Nurmagomedov, knocked out Eddie Wineland, beat Luan Lacerda via decision, and then lost the decision to Douglas Da Silva de Andrade in a controversial fight, I would say. That's what I would say. On the other hand, Taylor Lapilus is 19-4 overall. Won 4 of his last 5. He won a UFC fight against Colin Loughran, and then lost his next UFC fight against Farid Basharat. But he didn't get finished, and he got taken down quite a bit, but he was able to, I think, get up, and he showed pretty okay takedown defense. Currently, odds for this fight, plus 220 for Cody Stamann, minus 270 for Taylor Lapilus. Over-under on this fight, D-Rose, is set at 2.5, minus 395 for the over, and plus 280 for the under. Cody Stamann, 34 years old, 5'6", and a 64-inch reach, while Taylor Lapilus, 32 years old, 5'6", and listen to this, a 73-inch reach. He's got like a 10-inch reach advantage on dude. Yeah, give me Taylor Lapilus to win this fight via decision, though, D-Rose. Cody Stamann's pretty tough. I don't see him getting really knocked out. He can absorb a pretty good amount of damage, and I just think we see an easy 3-round, 30-27 win for Taylor Lapilus. Which way are you going here, man?
Yeah, I think Cody Stamann, he's got that the wrestle boxer type of style. So I do think that, he has the ability to put a little pressure on Taylor Lapilus. But like you said, in his last fight for Lapilus against Basharat's the more technical striker. He was kind of able to work in his takedowns, and as you said, Lapilus was able to get up. Even though he lost that fight, he still put up a good showing as far as his takedown defense and his get-ups were. And I think it's going to be a lot harder for Cody Stamann to close the range. So I think Taylor Lapilus, as you said, he should be able to get the decision win here. So we'll go Lapilus by decision.
All right. So me and D-Rose are both on the favorite, Taylor Lapilus, to probably win this fight via decision. Let's see what you guys got to say, if anything. We got Tim saying, I'll take the Brazilian over the Indian. Yeah, smart. We got Derek Jufrey saying, sorry, I'm like, it's okay, Derek. Glad you were able to make it. Stop by here and get the picks. We got Austin saying, hola, Derek. We forgive you. I'm going with my group to the fights on Saturday in Kentucky. That's what's up, brother. Hopefully you have a great time, man. There are definitely some fun fights on this card. There should definitely be some knockouts, some finishes on this card. I at least think so. We got D Hunt saying, hey, did you guys win anything over the weekend? Yes. I definitely won over the weekend. Yeah, good one. Good this past weekend. Check out the Monday recap or the recap from Saturday. So with that being said, D-Rose, we'll move on to the next fight, being Eduardo Ronda Mora. So we got another Ronda, and she is going to be taking on Denise D. Gomes. I feel like you already know how I feel about this one, but let's break it down. We've got Eduardo Mora is 10-0 out of her last 5 fights. Obviously, she's won all 5 of them, as she is 10-0. She came off the Contender Series where she had a rear naked choke in her first UFC fight over my girl, Mazerat Conejo, dude. She beat the brakes off of her, man, to say the absolute least, man. Like, she just took her down and just mollywopped the shit out of her. On the other hand, Denise Gomes, D, she is 8-3 overall out of her last 5 fights. She is 3 wins and 2 losses. She beat Hayani Amanda via decision on the Contender Series. Lost to Loma Lugbumi via decision on the in her first fight in the UFC, in which she basically, dude, Loma looked like Khabib in that fight, dude. She was just taking her down over and over, and I was like, oh, what the hell is this? In her second UFC fight, she did knock out Bruna Brazil. Third UFC fight, which was basically one of my biggest money makers of last year, I think, was when she knocked out Yasmin Haregi early. I told everyone that was going to happen, but I can only do so much. And then her last fight, she did lose a decision against Angela Overkill Hill. Currently, odds for this fight, D-Rose. Are you ready for this? Eduardo Mora is the favorite, minus 170. Denise Gomes is your dog, plus 142. Your over-under on this fight is set at 2.5. Over, minus 120. Under is minus 110. Eduardo, you all right, D-Rose? What's going on back there?
Yeah.
Is your, I don't know what happened. It was like it sounded like a fucking dryer is like going off like right beside you or something.
Yeah, my air. I got my little air compressor is kind of not too far, or not my air compressor, but my AC is not too far from over here. So that's what it was. That was kicking on.
I got you. I was like, Jesus.
My fault.
Yeah, you're good, man. Anyway, we're at Eduardo Mora is 30 years old, 5'6" and a 66-inch reach, while Denise Gomes is 24 years old, 5'2" and a 63-inch reach. I'm gonna pass it to you, D Rose, because you already know who I'm going here. I'm gonna let you pick, and then yeah, you know how it works. Feel free to break it down and then say what you got to say.
Yeah, this is one that I've been going back and forth on. I know, and I know you're a big Denise Gomes fan, and she is an absolute pit bull. The way she comes out in that first round, dude, she can knock out just about anybody. I mean, if she lands one clean one, she's almost kind of like a knockoff version of Andrade to a certain extent. Like, she kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Not the exact same style, but just walking forward and just trying to take your head off, especially early in the first round. So that is something that Eduardo Mora is going to have to watch out for. But in her last fight for Denise Gomes against Angela Hill, now look, Angela Hill's been looking a lot better in her last few fights, and that was obviously a tough fight for her. But that did kind of make me realize that she can, if she doesn't get the finish early, she tends to gas a little bit. And as you said about Luma Lukbumi, dude, I didn't know that Luma Lukbumi was a striker, because I saw that fight against Denise Gomes and she wrestled her. And I was like, yeah, she's a wrestler, clearly. And you told me that Luma was a striker. And I was like, I saw her wrestle Denise Gomes. That's all I know. So, yeah, I think she's a wrestler. But, yeah, it does seem like Denise Gomes does just have a little bit of that hole in her game. And Eduardo Mora, as you said in that last fight against
I need the strap back. My flag's falling.
Yeah, she just she absolutely ran Montserrat over, and yeah, I think she can do. I don't think she's going to finish the Denise Gomes, but I do think she's going to end up using her wrestling and kind of controlling the fight as long as she survives that storm early on. But Denise Gomes is going to come out like a bat out of hell. She's got to maintain that distance at the beginning, but I think once Denise Gomes tires out, I think Eduardo Mora can take over late and probably wrestle her way to a decision.
All right. Frank says, I think Mora wins by submission round 1. All right. So it looks like Frank's on your side. I, however, am on the other side. Like Denise Gomes, the way you described her, comes out like a pit bull. That's Eduardo Mora as well. But the thing is, she is just working to get the fight to the ground. So if she can't get the fight to the ground, it's gonna be a problem, dude, because her striking defense is basically non-existent, dude. When she is fucking striking, dude, it's like she's just throwing like this, and it's like her face is just up in the air, dude. And I feel like if you're gonna leave your chin out there with my girl D Gomes, and she touches you, dude, you're going down. So I'm going to go with the dog here. Give me Denise Gomes to win this fight via second-round knockout. But it's because I think Eduardo Mora herself is going to gas in the first round and not have anything left in the second. And then that's where my girl D Gomes, whereas not going to be drained of her energy after working for takedowns for an entire round, she's going to have the gas and put it on Eduardo Mora. So give me D Gomes, second round knockout. Could even happen sooner, but I like second round. So that's going to be our first different pick of the night. So with that being said, we'll move on to the next fight of the night. D Rose is actually allergic to dogs, so that was not a dog bark in the background.
Yeah, it's just that's just the zoo I have going on back there, though.
Goodness gracious, dude. We're going to move on to the next fight. That is Daniel Marcos taking on the sexy Mexi John Castaneda. So Daniel Marcos is 15-0. Obviously, he's won all 5 of his, or he's won 4 of his last 5 fights, and then the last fight ended in a no contest. But I believe Daniel Marcos was winning that fight either way. So, John Castaneda, out of his last 5 fights, he is 4 wins, 1 loss. He knocked out Eddie Weiland, but at this point, who hasn't? He beat Miles Johns via arm triangle, which says something good. He did lose to Daniel Santos, Willie Cat, about a year ago via knee to the body, I believe. He did beat Marine Gaffarov via decision and did beat Kung Ho Kang via decision. So we'll see the people that he beat, D-Rose, are, aside from the Miles Johns win, is probably his best win. But he's losing the Willie Cat, and you beat Marine Gaffarov and Kung Ho Kang. Dude, Daniel Santos is undefeated, and he's had multiple UFC fights now, dude. People can't figure out how to fucking beat this guy. Beat Simon Oliveira, beat Davey Grant, which via split decision, in which a lot of people went Davey Grant.
Davey.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay. But and then the last fight happened, dude, and it's not easy to be undefeated, and especially make it into the UFC and continue to be undefeated, dude. So currently odds for this fight are closer than what I think they should be, to be honest. But minus 102 for John Castaneda and minus 118 for Daniel Marcos. So basically as close as it can be without having anyone as the actual dog. The over-under on this fight, D-Rose, is set at 2.5. Over is minus 245. Under plus 185. So Daniel Marcos is 31 years old, 5'7", and a 69-inch reach, while John Castaneda is 32 years old, 5'6", and a 71-inch reach. Dude, I want to keep it short and sweet here. I don't really think John Castaneda is the best fighter. I don't know if it's just my hatred for his fight name. I just think it's dumb, but he's an okay fighter. I just think Daniel Marcos so far has just shown that he's overall well-rounded, very good fighter. Good takedown defense, good striking. He has very, very good calf kicks, and I think that might be the winner to this fight. So give me Daniel Marcos to win this fight via decision. Which way are you going here, D-Rose?
This is one that I think the betting lines are about justified. I mean, I do think Marcos should be the favorite, but yeah, I think this is a very close fight. Both guys, as far as the competition that they've fought in the UFC so far, won't say that they're the absolute best, but they do have some pretty decent wins when you start going through it. And again, I do think that Daniel Marcos lost the Davey Grant fight. I mean, he fought Ricky Lang in his last fight. Like you said, he was on his way to winning that fight. But I thought that it was Mr. Perfect, right? That Kung Ho Kang, that's Mr. Perfect that John Castaneda fought in his last fight. Yeah, so I like that. I like that performance in his last fight. He kind of Kung Ho Kang brought some adversity to him, brought some good power punching and stuff like that. And I thought that he had showed some some good striking defense in that, and a good chin as well at certain points in time, but was able to kind of weather the storm. I'm going to take the shot here, and I'm going to go John Castaneda. So give me John Castaneda here. I think he's got good enough boxing, very well rounded, and I think he can put enough pressure on Daniel Marcos. Let's go. Another decision here. It's going to look a lot like UFC 302, but yeah, let's go decision here.
All right, so our second different pick of the day, D Rose going the sexy Mexi, John Castaneda, and I am on Daniel Marcos. So we'll move on to the next fight, which is Andrea KGB Lee. She is going to be taking on Montana De La Rosa. Dude, we don't see this too often besides Angie Hill. Andrea KGB Lee, out of her, she is 13-9 overall. Out of her last 5 fights, though, she is 1 win and 4 losses. She beat Cynthia Calvillo and then 4 straight losses: Viviane Araújo, Macy Barber, which I think she won that fight. Natalia Silva, which is a tough fight. She's going to beat everyone. And then lastly, we have an ad. Lastly, we have a loss to Miranda Maverick, in which, dude, that wasn't even a close fight. Like, Miranda Maverick did whatever she wanted in that fight. Like, Miranda Maverick actually looked to be the better striker in that fight, which doesn't even really make sense, to be honest. On the other hand, Montana De La Rosa, 12-9-1 overall out of her last 5 fights. She has also won one of them, but she also has a draw with Myra Bueno Silva that recently fought for the title. Ariane Lipsky, she did ground and pound, knock her out, but then 3 losses, 1 to Macy Barber, 1 to Tatiana Suarez, but once again, who doesn't lose to Tatiana Suarez? And then her last fight, JJ Aldrich, trading partners. I went Montana De La Rosa in that fight. Currently, odds for this fight, though, are Andrea Lee, minus 155, your favorite. Montana De La Rosa, plus 130, your dog. The over-under set at 2.5 on this, minus 410 for the over 2.5. And then for the under 2.5, it is plus 290. So, yeah, not the best over-under odds there. Dude, Andrea Lee, 35 years old at this point, 5'6" and a 69.5-inch reach, while Montana De La Rosa is 29 years old, 5'7" and a 68-inch reach. I think I'm going to pass it to you again to go first, D-Rose. Go for it, man.
Yeah, this is one that I can see why the betting lines are the way that they are. Andrea Lee has fought the tougher level competition.
I also need to let you know this is the second time this fight has happened. They have fought once before, in which Andrea Lee won the fight.
Oh yeah, no, I did not.
I believe it was in 2019.
Yeah, I'm seeing it here now. So you're telling me this is 2?
2? Yep. 2. Yep.
2.
This is Pittsburgh fight.
2? Yeah, very much so, Dave, because I can see why. Look, Andrea Lee, she's fought the tougher competition at this point. She's a better striker, but Miranda Maverick, she was the better striker in the last fight, but she was able to take Andrea Lee down. And Andrea Lee's biggest thing is she has a good jiu-jitsu, but she's very content with fighting off of her back. Montana De La Rosa, she does not have the best striking, but she has decent boxing, and she's going to use it really all to set up her wrestling. And she is determined, and she will keep backing Andrea Lee up against the fence until she gets her backed up there, and then go for that single leg, try to sweep her down.
Unless she's fighting JJ Aldridge, then she will not shoot even one time the entire fight.
Yeah, true. But I do think that JJ Aldridge, she's a half decent wrestler herself versus Andrea Lee. She has been known to have gotten taken down before. So I'm going to take a shot on the dog here, and I'm going to go Montana De La Rosa here to get it done. And I'm even going to maybe take a chance to say by submission. So I think Montana De La Rosa gets her down and works a lot of control. And I think she's able to get a submission off on Andrea Lee here. So let's go De La Rosa.
I am actually with you, D-Rose. I think when they fought in 2019, that was 5 years ago, which means that Montana was...
I think she was just coming off the Ultimate Fighter as well.
24 years old, and Andrea Lee was 30 in her prime. I think the roles are reversed now. I think Andrea Lee probably passed her prime a little bit now, and her last fight showed that. And I think Montana De La Rosa, although in her last 3 fights haven't really shown anything great, she did, although lose, she looked like she was up for a fight against Tatiana Suarez, man. And, she actually looked all right in that fight, even though she lost. So I'm with you, dude. I'm going to go Montana De La Rosa to win this fight as well. I'm going to say via decision, though. I don't know about the submission or the ground and pound. I'm just going to go straight up Montana De La Rosa via decision as the dog. Probably not the worst pick in the world, as she is a plus 130 dog currently. So we'll me and D Rose both on the dog there in Montana De La Rosa. So we'll move on to the next fight, which is we got Frank saying De La Rosa by decision, I think. Yeah, that's what me and D Rose are on as well. So, hopefully we're right this weekend. So up next, we've got Brad Superman Katona taking on Jesse Butler, man. Yeah, you don't know who Jesse Butler is? We'll talk about it. Brad Katona, 13-3 overall, won 4 of his last 5. Not in the UFC, though. Won on the Ultimate Fighter against Cody Gibson in the Ultimate Fighter finale. So won the Ultimate Fighter for the second time. So had a few fights in between here on the Ultimate Fighter. Didn't really count on his pro record, but he also had a few fights there. And then in his last fight, dude, he lost against Garrett Armfield, in which I believe probably lost us all money because we probably all picked Garrett. I mean, we probably all picked Brad Katona to win via decision because Brad Katona couldn't finish a late night snack. And yeah, dude, it's just like he always wins via decision, but he's good and he has high fight IQ. But that last fight, just Garrett Armfield just beat him. On the other hand, Jesse Butler is 12-5 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he has won 4 of his last 5, but none of them were in the UFC except for his last one where he got absolutely demolished by Jim Miller with one of the nastiest knockouts you'll ever see. D Rose will probably talk to you about that one. So currently odds for this fight are Brad Katona -625, D Rose. Jesse Butler +4, 55 over under on this -2. Over under on this is at 2.5, -250 for the over and +190 for the under. So I don't even feel great about that. Brad Katona, 32 years old, 5'6", 64-inch reach. Jesse Butler, 32 years old, 5'10", 73-inch reach. So for me, I'm just, I may be wrong again, but it's okay because I am not going to be parlaying this one this weekend. I'm going Brad Katona via decision, but I'm going to let all of you guys know. Do not put this in your parlays. Which way are you going here, D-Rose?
Yeah. So my question is: this fight happening at featherweight or bantamweight?
Yeah. Oh no. This fight is happening at bantamweight, dude. So Jesse Butler has fought all the way as high as 170, dude, and got knocked out by Jim Miller in his last fight at 55. But he's fought most of his fights at 145, though. But he's going to try to make 135 for the first time. So if he does make the weight, he's going to be the much bigger guy.
Yeah, that's interesting because he was actually a pretty decently sized guy up against Jim Miller. Just Jim Miller.
It would be 5'10" against 5'6". 5'10" against 5'6". 73-inch reach against a 64-inch reach.
Yeah. Jim Miller hit him with that absolute hammer and put him out. One of the most brutal highlights. That overhand left, that uppercut on the ground. Oh, absolutely brutal. But as you said, Brad Katona, a little bit more experience at this level, and I'm not betting it, but Brad Katona should get the win here. I'd say Brad Katona by decision, but I'm with you. Don't even think about betting it because Brad Katona is probably going to piss you off.
Dude, something's going to happen in that fight. I'm like, we told you. We told you.
Yep.
So me and you both on Brad Katona via decision there, but we are also both telling you, do not put your hard-earned dollars on this fight because there's a chance you could lose them on some bullshit. So with that being said, we'll move on to the next fight, which is Chuck Buffalo, Charlie Radke taking on the Nightmare, Carlos Prates. So Chuck Buffalo, 9-3 overall, won all 5 of his last fights. And in this fight, I think, dude, I thought UFC was probably bringing Charlie Radke in to get Blood Diamond a win, but that fight ended up going to decision in a fucking snooze fest. In his next fight, he absolutely snoozes the RGV bad boy, Gilbert Urbina, and he has a second win off the top. They didn't give him the microphone the second time, or they did give him the microphone. They just said, "Hey, watch your mouth," because after the Blood Diamond, when he wanted to drop some slurs, and you can't do that. So he's going to be taking on Carlos Prates, the Nightmare. He is 18-6 overall out of his last 5 fights. He has won all 5 of them. His last 2 was a knockout win on the Contender Series over Mitch Ramirez, and a knockout win over to Trevin Giles in his last fight 3 months ago, in which Trevin Giles was winning every moment of the fight until he got snoozed. D-Rose, you remember that one?
Yeah, because that was the pick champ. I'm pretty sure I picked Trevin Giles in that fight, so it was brutal to watch.
Yeah. So anyway, currently odds for this fight are plus 190, the dog for Charlie Radke, and minus 230, the favorite for Carlos Prates. This over-under is set at 1.5, and over 1.5 minus 145 for under 1.5 plus 114. Chuck Buffalo, 33 years old, 5'9", 72-inch reach, while Carlos Prates is 30 years old, 6'1", and a 78-inch reach. D-Rose, I am going to go the over. I am going to go Carlos Prates, and I am going to go Carlos Prates to get a 3rd round knockout, because I know he carries the power to the 3rd round. So I think by that time, Charlie Radke going to be tired, and he's going to get knocked out by the guy has Muay Thai tattooed across his chest. So give me Carlos Prates to win this fight via 3rd round knockout. Which way are you going here, man?
This one should be a lot tougher of a fight than what the bet lines are kind of indicating. I mean, I know that Carlos Prates is the the more dangerous, got power in his hands. As you said, power carries late. He's got finishing ability. As my dryer's going off in the background, I don't know if you can hear that or not, but yeah, I think that Chuck Buffalo, he's got a couple decent wins in the UFC. Really kind of shown that dog type style that he's got in him. Like, as far as, he had to kind of bite down against Gilbert Urbina and eat some jabs and leg kicks early in order to work in the range. And he was able to use his wrestling against Blood Diamond. Man, Charles Radke might be a complete idiot, but man, he's got a little bit of that dog in him, man. I'm going to take my shot on a dog here, man. I think Carlos Prates, again, coming off that last Trevin Giles fight, as you said, Trevin Giles was winning, even if he wasn't winning every moment of it, because I know that first round was still pretty close. That second round was complete domination until, Carlos Prates did his thing, kept power carries late. But I think Carlos Prates or Chuck Buffalo is going to be the better wrestler. And I think as long as he, kind of similar to the Denise Gomes fight, if Chuck Buffalo can survive the storm early, he can get the decision win. So I'm going Chuck Buffalo.
All right, D-Rose on Chuck Buffalo. We're split here. I'm on Carlos Prates, D-Rose on Chuck Buffalo. So I think that's our 3rd different pick, D-Rose. So we'll move on to the next fight, which is a fun one. This should be a fun one. We've got Thiago Moises taking on Ludovic, Mr. Highlight Klein. So Thiago Moises, 18-7 overall out of his last 5 fights. He has won 3 and lost 2. Lost to Joel Alvarez, beat Christoph Giagos, beat Mazekio Costa, lost to BSD, and then beat Mitch Ramirez. So beating guys that aren't the best in the world or don't belong in the weight class, and losing to guys that are able to kind of just bully him for the most part. On the other hand, Mr. Highlight Ludovic Klein, 21-4 and 1 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he has won 4 of them, and 1 of them is a draw against Jai Herbert. Knocked out AJ Cunningham 3 months ago, and I just felt bad for AJ Cunningham. He beat the living shit out of him. Currently, odds for this fight are plus 105 for Thiago Moises and minus 125 for Ludovic Klein. Thiago Moises, 29 years old, 5'9", and a 70.5-inch reach, while Ludovic Klein, 29 years old, 5'7", and a 72-inch reach. We got a fun fight here, D-Rose. I'm going to pass it to you first. Which way are you going here?
This one's actually a super tough fight. I'm not going to lie, because I've been going back and forth on this one. Thiago Moises, obviously, he's fought the better level of competition. We know the jiu-jitsu threat that he has as far as him being able to, snatch a submission from just about anywhere. Ludovic Klein, he's a good striker. He's even starting to work out his well-rounded ability. He's been working on his wrestling in his last few fights as well. And then, as you said, he just absolutely smoked AJ Cunningham. So he moved up from 145, thinking he might have been too small for 55, but he seemed to be kind of finding his comfort zone at 55. But I do think just what I said. I do think Thiago Moises, he's got a little bit of that. I think he's got a little bit more. He's been tested more in the UFC than Ludovic Klein has. I do think that Ludovic Klein, he's going to have a little bit of a size disadvantage against Thiago Moises. Thiago Moises is going to be naturally the bigger guy, and Thiago Moises' arms are absolutely, that dude is cock diesel. Like, if you don't realize how big Thiago Moises' arms are, that dude is absolutely jacked. I could absolutely see him using his wrestling, getting Ludovic Klein down, and getting a submission here. I'm surprised that Thiago Moises is actually the dog. So yeah, I'm going to go Thiago Moises here. I think he's going to be able to get the submission here. So let's go Thiago Moises.
Fair enough. I am on the other hand. I like Ludovic Klein, dude, and that AJ Cunningham fight, dude, it kind of let me know that he don't care, dude. He's just going to beat the shit out of you. If you get in the octagon with him, dude, he is going to beat the absolute shit out of you. So, yeah, dude, I'm not going to step in front of this absolute freight train right now. That is Ludovic Klein, dude. He's just looking good. I don't want to say it looks like the BSD fight, but I think Ludovic has the much better striking, dude. And Thiago Moises' striking is not the best in the world. So I'm going to go Ludovic Klein to win this fight via second round knockout. So another different pick here. I am going to be on your favorite Ludovic Klein, D-Rose on the dog in Thiago Moises. Interesting. That's a really good fight, and I'm excited for it. Let me get the next one pulled up here.
Yeah, that's stinky decent fighting, dude. Thiago Moises' boxing has been looking a lot better the last couple fights too. So that should be a good scrap.
Yeah, I agree. I think the kicks might be an issue though. The kicks, but hey, he might get taken down. We'll find out. We'll find out. Frank saying Klein gets better with each fight. I agree. Frank. We got Dave Fish for Dave saying Klein round 2 knockout. I agree. And then so does Frank. Looks like we're all on Klein round 2 knockout. So we'll move on to the next one. And probably my favorite fight on this card. It's like I'm giggling like, oh, does anyone else see this? Does anyone else know what's going to happen this weekend? We're going to see a murder this weekend in the octagon. We got Punahele Soriano taking on the returning Caramel Thunder, Miguel Baeza, dude. And yeah, guess what? You thought he had some fights out of the UFC, D-Rose? No, he didn't. He didn't fight anyone out of the UFC. He just hasn't fought. So, yeah. Let's get into it. Punahele Soriano, or also Puna, is 9-4 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he has lost a decision to Brendan Allen, lost a split decision to Nick Maximov, knocked out Dasha Lugiambola, got knocked out by Roman Kapilov, which who doesn't at this point, and then this one really upset me. This submission by Dustin Stolfoots, but I think he would just truly disrespected him because they have trained together, and apparently at the point Dustin Stolfoots was absolute garbage, and he was like, I'm going to crush this guy. On the other hand, Caramel Thunder, Miguel Baeza, 4 years ago at this point, knocked out Matt Brown, and then submitted Takashi Sato. And since then, he has lost the decision to Santiago Ponzinibbio, got absolutely massacred by Chaos Williams, and then this one right here set it over the top. Andre Fiallo knockout. Speaking of Andre Fiallo, he just now fought recently, D-Rose, and he got knocked out again outside of the UFC, so not too surprising. But yeah, currently odds.
That dude had the quickest like hot run in the UFC for like, what was it, like a 3-4 month stretch where he just took a shitload of fights and was getting knockouts. Then
yeah,
man, that Jake Matthews loss really fucked him up, didn't it? It's crazy.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, currently odds for this fight are -192 for Miguel Baeza and +160 for Punahele Soriano. The over-under is 1.5 and set at -115 apiece. So let's get into the stats about it. Punahele Soriano, 31 years old, 5'11", and a 72.5-inch reach, while Miguel Baeza is 31 years old, 6'2", and a 74.5-inch reach. One stat to be known about this fight, DeRose, I'm not sure if you know, this will be Punahele's first fight down at 170 pounds. So he had power up at 185. So if he's able to carry that power down to 170, Miguel Baeza is going to be in trouble. But the way I personally think this fight goes, and my strongest lean on this card, if I had one bet to make on this card, it would be Punahele Soriano by knockout. Because, dude, I've just seen Miguel Baeza get cracked enough times now to know that if you touch his chin, he's going to fall down, dude. And through the 3 rounds, dude, all I need is Punahele to land one punch, and that's going to knock out Miguel Baeza. And even if you look back at Puna's last fight against Dustin Stolfoots, dude, he was round 1. He was cracking Stolfoots all around the octagon. He was kind of wobbling. I think if he hits Miguel Baeza with one of those, dude, he's going to sleep. So my play for this card will be Punahele Soriano by knockout. And on DraftKings right now, you can get that at +275. I've already put $25 on it to win, I think, 93.50 or something like that. So this gives me memories of us doing the podcast when Roman Dolidze fought Phil Hawes, and we're like, dude, why is Roman Dolidze the dog? Like, what's happening right now? And him by knockout is +500, dude. We're about to be rich this weekend, and me and you both bet it, dude. And I think this is the same spot, although the odds not quite as juicy. It's not +500. I can't wait for FanDuel to open up their props, because I wouldn't mind testing the round 1, round 2 knockout, seeing what that's going to be once FanDuel opens up their props. But my play for this fight is going to be Punahele Soriano to knock out Miguel Baeza as the dog. How do you feel on this one, D-Rose?
Yeah, this one's definitely a tough fight to pick from, and I know you're a fan of Puna, and he is an absolute dog, making his debut at 170. But man, I'm not gonna lie, that Stolfoots fight was just a little bit concerning for me. Coming out of that last fight, and I think for Miguel Baeza, look, I know he's had the time off, and I know you were saying that once he gets touched up, but I'm wondering how much the time off is actually going to help his chin get replenished in that sense. And Puna has shown an ability to be hurt to the feet, and he can, or hurt to the body, and can be submitted at times as well. Miguel Baeza does have good striking, and as you know, he can work in his submission as well. He does have pretty good wrestling and good scrambles to kind of work to the back. So I'm going to take a shot here, and I'm going to say Miguel Baeza. I'm taking a shot on the favorite here, but I think it's not more or less that I'm super confident Miguel Baeza, is because I'm not quite sure where Puna is at. As you said, losing 4 out of his last 5. Who knows kind of where his confidence level is at. I know he's trying to chase a win down here at 170, but he's still going to be the smaller guy, even moving down a weight class. Miguel Baeza is a pretty big dude, and also pretty quick as well. So I wonder what the speed difference is going to be between them as well. So I'm gonna go Miguel Baeza here.
All right, me and you split again. We got, I think that's already 4 or 5. Hopefully Luscious here. But We'll move on to the next one, which is the Cuban Missile Crisis. Julian Marquez, Miley Cyrus's Valentine. For those of you that
He blew his opportunity.
I can remember that. Yeah, dude, blew it.
Blew his opportunity.
He's going to be taking on the bum that is the Savage Reese, dude. Julian Marquez, 9-4 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, got split decision loss to Alessio De Chirico. Submission over Mikey Pitolo, coconut bombs. Submission over Sam Alvey after dropping him. Got knocked out by Gregory Rodriguez. In this fight, D-Rose, I will remember this fight to this day. This fight made me say I would never bet on a Julian Marquez fight ever again, because this was one of those like 13-leg parlays that I had in. And the only thing that I got wrong.
I mean, you were both pretty confident though.
Yeah, was this fight right here, dude. It was like $2 to win 13 grand. And this fight blew it for me. The Hobo Cop. And then now I'm like, I don't bet on Hobo Cop fights. It's not the Julian Marquez fights. Because I'm confident in that I can maybe have a play on this fight this weekend. I might take Julian Marquez off my banned list of don't bet on these fighters, because I think I might have a play for this fight. Not going to say it's on a fighter, but it is a play. Zachary Reese, on the other hand, 6-1 overall and got knocked out by Cody Brundage in the first round. That's all we really need to say. The odds for this fight are currently -142 Julian Marquez, +120 for Zachary Reese. Over under on this fight is 1.5. The over is +130 and the under is -166. D-Rose, my play for this fight is going to be the under. I think one of these dudes knocks out the other one probably sometime in the first round. And if it goes over, well, I shouldn't have bet on this fight. But give me Julian Marquez to knock out Zachary. So that's the way I'm going here. -142. I'm on the favorite, Julian Marquez. Which way are you going here, D-Rose?
Yeah, I'm not betting this fight either, but Zach Reese is pretty much a can. I would have to say. I don't want to say a can, but yeah, you lose to Cody Brundage, man, and especially in the fashion that he lost to, that was just brutal. And I think Marquez fought a lot tougher competition.
I don't think I did the stats, did I? I don't think I did the stats. Nah, here we go. Hold on. Let's go. Hold on. Marquez, 34, 6'2", and a 72-inch reach. Zach Reese, 30 years old, 6'4", and a 77-inch reach. So he will have a 2-inch height and about a 5-inch reach advantage over Julian Marquez. I don't know if that changes anything.
No, not too much. I'm not betting this fight, but I think Marquez gets a knockout here.
All right. So we'll move on to the next one. Me and D-Rose both on the Cuban Missile Crisis in Julian Marquez. So the next fight, we have Bruno the Hulk Ferreira taking on Dustin Stolfoots. Before we get into this, D-Rose, I have to let you know that I was a little disappointed earlier in the week, because before I did any sort of like fight research, I was like, man, I see his name on DraftKings, and my guy D-Rose didn't let me know that he was fighting this weekend. And I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and just throw it in a bet. And then I realized that I am thinking about the wrong fighter completely once I actually started, opening up, looking into shit. I'm like, oh my God, I got Bruno Silva mixed up with Bruno Ferreira. And I was like, why didn't D-Rose tell me he was fighting Dustin Stolfoots this weekend? He's for sure going to beat Dustin Stolfoots. But I was a little bit confused. We do have the Hulk, Bruno Ferreira, which I do like as well against Dustin Stolfoots because of his last fight and me describing to you what happened. Dude. So the Hulk, Bruno Ferreira, 11-1 overall. Only loss ever is to Nasser Sultan Rizaboev. I don't know. I had trouble getting that one out. It's the only loss ever. And then since then, he knocked out Phil Halls. And before the No Sultan, he knocked out Hobo Cop. So Dustin Dustin Stolfoots is 15-5 overall out of his last 5 fights. Got choked out by Rodolfo Vieira. Got choked out by GM3. Got a decision win against Dwight Grant, the body snatcher. Got front kicked by Abus Magomedov, and then choked Punahele Soriano 6 months ago. The measurables for this fight: Bruno, 31 years old, 5'10" and a 72-inch reach, while Dustin Stolfoots is 32 years old, 6 foot and a 75-inch reach. Looking at the measurables makes me feel a lot better, but I would like to see the face-off still, if I'm going to be honest, Rose. I wish you would have let me know that I didn't have it up on the screen. But, yeah, seeing like the measurables makes me feel a little bit better about this fight, because I do have Bruno Ferreira parlayed up, because I just think he's this really short guy for 185. But if you look at the two guys that he's fought, being Hobo Cop and Nursultan, are both huge dudes for 185. So I guess it kind of makes sense that I kind of think that he's a small guy, but he's going to be fighting Dustin Stolfoots, which is 6'2", so not really too much. There's not really too much of a difference there, but I would like to see weigh-ins to see how they face off and such. But yeah, I don't think Dustin Stolfoots has the best chin in the world. And I think Bruno Ferreira is an absolute, as what you call Denise Gomes, an absolute pit bull, dude. And he will be coming after you nonstop, throwing fucking heat. He doesn't seem to gas, and he's still pretty young, dude. So give me Bruno Ferreira to knock out Dustin Stolfoots. I'm going to say in the first round. How about you, man? I'm going to grab something to drink real quick while you're talking.
Yeah, I think this fight should be a good fight. I do think that, as you said, Bruno, he has fought the bigger dudes before now against Nursultan. We saw what that ended up being. And we saw Nursultan against Joaquin Buckley in his last fight. So does make you a little bit nervous. I mean, I know Nursultan caught Bruno with a shot. So, and obviously it's a fight. Anybody's got a puncher's chance. So it would make you a little bit nervous. But Dustin Stolfoots also is not that physical of a striker that Nursultan can be. He's got more of kind of like a wrestling base, and I think that Bruno's got good power in his hands. Showed pretty decent takedown defense against Phil Hawes for the most part, and I mean we know Phil Hawes isn't the greatest with his control, but pretty decent wrestler. And yeah, I do think that Bruno is the better overall fighter, more power in his hands. And I do agree with you. I do think that that Bruno ends up getting a knockout. So let's go Bruno by KO.
All right, me and D-Rose both on Bruno Ferreira. But yeah, it's if you're going to play the money line, minus 258, you kind of have to use him as a parlay piece, because even him by knockout right now, D-Rose, is minus 150. So, I mean, what can you even like, I would rather just parlay him up. I wouldn't want to parlay the knockout, to be honest. Like, I was like, ooh, minus 150.
Yeah, no, that's too
like,
tricky.
Even, dude, a sneaky play here might be Bruno Ferreira to win via decision. If, like, maybe Dustin Stolfoots ends up being a little bit too tough to maybe get knocked out, and then maybe Bruno Ferreira kind of like loses a little steam, and then doesn't really have enough gas to finish him in the second or the third, but, you know, still gets it done. Bruno Ferreira by decision is plus 700, so probably not the worst play in the world, but I don't know. I just like Bruno Ferreira to win the fight, though. Let's see here. Move on to the next one, where we do have another fun one. Bubblegum. We've got on the main card, D-Rose, we've got El Nino Problema, Raul Rosas Jr. taking on Pretty Ricky Tercios, dude. Raul Rosas Jr. 8-1 overall. Only loss was to C-Rod a year ago. And in the UFC, or, you know, Decision win on the Contender Series. Submission win over Jay Perrin in his first fight in the UFC. Lost to C-Rod, and then absolutely demolished Terrence Mitchell last September. He is going to be taking on Ricky Tercios. That's 12-3 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he has won 3 and lost 2. Lost in Fury. Yeah, let's just do UFC. One against Brady Heastan via split decision. Lost against Ayman Zahabi, and then beat Kevin Natividad via split decision. But what we found out is he's, dude, not a reliable fighter. Will play off of his back, but he gets taken down, but works to get back up. But it's just, I don't know. It's just not the best look if you're going to decision and such. So currently, odds for this fight are Raul Rosas Jr. minus 230, Ricky Tercios plus 190. Raul Rosas Jr., 19 years old, 5'9" and a 67-inch reach, while Ricky Tercios is 31 years old, 5'9" and a 71-inch reach. D-Rose, my play for this fight will be what you call double chance, or on DraftKings you can get by finish. Raul Rosas Jr. by any knockout, sub, or DQ is plus 150. Give me Raul Rosas Jr. to finish Ricky Tercios, probably via submission, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was like a ground to pound or something like that, because Ricky Tercios just gets taken down way too much for my liking. Which way you going here, man? That's right, Frank.
Yeah, I do think that that Rosas is the better fighter. The thing that he wants to watch out for Tercios is that Gracie foot stomp that he likes to do when he's trying to like cover the range.
That's what Sean
like,
Strickland was practicing this past weekend, dude.
Yeah.
That's what Sean was trying to get Paulo with. He was like, "Come here, let me stomp your foot."
Yeah, he's like "Ooga," and like try to like cover range, like doing that old Hoist Gracie foot stomp, dude. It looks absolutely crazy. It's hilarious. But Rosas, look, he showed his last fight. I mean, obviously, I know it's a setup fight for him, but
hold on,
look, boxing,
real quick, D-Rose. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but I do have to make this point. This fight was originally like fucking matched up for like the UFC like a Mexico City fight, in which, dude, in that fight, I liked Ricky Tercios a little bit more because it was at elevation, and or like fucking Raul goes out that fucking first round like Kamzat, so he could gas, and at like fucking elevation, not a good look. Now we're in Louisville, which is basically sea level. So we got 3 rounds of Raul Rosas Jr. cardio, or at least 2 of Raul Rosas Jr. cardio here. Sorry.
Yeah, well, and I think Rosas is super tough and a good wrestler, good boxing, and Tercios. I think the only thing with him is that, man, I think he's super tough. So I hear you on the finish part. I think Rosas wins, but honestly, I think it might be a little bit more of a slower pace fight. Rosas using a lot more ground and control, and I think he gets a decision here. So I'm going to go Rosas by decision.
Okay, fair enough. I don't hate it. I see your play. Yeah, but it looks like me and you are just pretty much both on Raul Rosas Jr. And at minus 230. I think he's a solid parlay piece. I guess you would agree.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, so we have made it here, D Rose, to the co-main event of the evening. Yeah, not the best co-main event. We've got Espanol asking, is Connor fighting? It looks like probably not, to be honest, but I guess we'll find out something in the next probably few weeks, but it looks like most likely no. And that Muppet is a good prospect. I would agree. That's fucked up though. So co-main event, D-Rose, we've got the Devastator. That's what his career has been since fighting John Jones. Devastating. Dominic Reyes taking on the Hanyak Dustin Jacoby. Yeah, and since beating Chris Weidman via left cross to ground and pound 4 years ago, he has lost 4 straight. 1 to John Jones, got knocked out by Jan Blachowicz, got knocked out by Yuri Prochazka, and then got knocked out by Ryan Spann by a power jab. That's very specific. Power jab. On the other hand,
He just ran into it. There's no power
Yeah.
jab. He just ran into it.
Yeah. On the other hand, the Hanyak Dustin Jacoby is 19-8-1 out of his last 5 fights. He is 1-2 and lost 3, where the win over Da Jung knockout, Khalil Roundtree split decision loss, where I think he won that fight. Azamat Murzakanov decision loss, where he was winning the fight, I thought, and then he decided to start going for takedowns for some reason, and I don't know why.
Well, I started rocking him.
Yeah, and
I
then
had Jacoby too, but
the Kennedy fight, I watched this one live, dude. Me and you were both high on Kennedy, and he got absolutely demolished in like 10 seconds. He wanted the Gabe Green, Dustin Jacoby, and that was a bad decision. And then lost to Alonzo Minifield in his last fight, where, dude, I didn't like Alonzo was dropping him. Kind of a not the best look, but Alonzo's got power though. So currently odds for this fight are plus 190 for Dominic Reyes and minus 230 for Dustin Jacoby. Don't like the odds, but I agree with them. 34 years old for Dominic Reyes. He is 6'4" and a 77-inch reach, while Dustin Jacoby is 36 years old, 6'3" and a 76-inch reach. I'll pass it to you first, Rose. I'll let you go ahead, man.
Yeah, this is definitely it's a weird fight to call because, as you said, Alonzo Minifield hurting Dustin Jacoby as many times as he did, and as you said, he kept going for takedowns in the Azamat fight because Azamat kept hurting him. So guys who are shorter and you would think would have a reach disadvantage always end up kind of getting within that range anyway. And I think for Dominic Reyes, the big thing for me is just where is his confidence at this point? Losing 4 in a row, and you can look at the competition besides Ryan Spann, because we know where Ryan Spann's at. All former champs. So you can't be too mad at those losses. But then you can say in some of those fights, he kind of made, bad decisions, especially in the Jan fight. He was kind of chasing Jan and was kind of willing to kind of stay in the pocket a little bit. And that's how he was able to get his nose absolutely smushed on the other side of his face. And Yuri, he just ended up kind of gassing after, Yuri just ended up putting that
Yuri,
dude,
I can't, you can't blame, fucking Yuri does that to everyone. Unless you get him out of there early, dude, by round 3, everyone is just gassed, dude. They're like, what is this, dude?
Yeah, no, you get absolutely gassed. And that's what I'm saying. Like, as far as Dominic Reyes' losses, they're not bad losses. They're just bad in the way that he lost. But I do think Dustin Jacoby is the more technical striker of the two. Dustin Jacoby can sometimes as well be a little bit willing to play at range and kind of play the point fighting game. I think Reyes might have a tough time kind of closing the range. I think the only way Reyes wins here is by knockout. Because I think if he doesn't get the knockout, I just think that at this point, Dustin Jacoby is the more technical striker. At this point, you can say the more well-rounded fighter because he's definitely been more active than Reyes. He's fought some good competition as well. Maybe not as good a competition as Reyes has over his last few fights, but Dustin Jacoby has fought good competition nonetheless. Plus all the kickboxing background as well. So I think Dustin Jacoby gets it done here. I think by decision.
Fair enough. I think this looks like the Kennedy fight, dude. I think fucking Reyes is eager to get back in there, get a win like he was against Ryan Spann, and fucking goes in there and just eats a punch, dude, and gets fucking snoozed like Kennedy does. I think he's gonna go in there and just get fucking folded up my laptop right after this podcast, dude. Just gonna just fold it, just close it right now, dude. And take it to my bedroom, dude. It doesn't. I know you said where's Dom's confidence at. My confidence for him is very low, D Rose. I think that's just one of those, like one of the fighters like that we saw him hit his absolute peak Some people think he won that fight, but ever since then, it's just been all downhill. And I think we see Dustin Jacoby snooze Dominic Reyes. He loses 5 in a row, and he gets cut from the UFC, and we don't hear from him again. That is what I guess. But hey, I could be wrong. Kind of sad, but that is this game. So anything else on this fight, D Rose? We'll move on to the main event.
Let's keep it moving.
All right. So it is the main event time. And the reason me and D Rose thought this was an Apex card was because this main event, we're like, that's for sure an Apex card, right? Nope. This is Louisville main event. Good fight, but once again, I just can't see a whole bunch of fans paying to see this main event. Good card, though. But before we get started, if you guys haven't already, please do us a favor. Hit a thumbs up button on the video. If you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? So let's get into it, D-Rose. Main event time. We've got Nasruddin Imavov taking on the Killer Gorilla, Jared Cannonier. So the Killer Gorilla, Jared Cannonier, is 17-6-0 overall. Out of his last 5 fights, he has won 4 of them, lost 1, only to Izzy. Get out of my face. Decision win over Kelvin Gastelum. Knocked out Derek Brunson, lost to Izzy. Split decision win to Sean Strickland, even though Sean Strickland thinks he won that. And then a win over Marvin Vettori, dude, when I know you'll have something to say about that fight. So I'll let you talk about that one. While Nasruddin Imavov, the Russian sniper, is 13-4 overall out of his last 5 fights. Knockout elbows from crucifix. That sounds like elbows from top rope.
Oh my God, he hit him with a steel chair.
Knockout win over Edmund Shabazian. Decision win over Joaquin Buckley. Lost to Sean Strickland via decision. No contest, Chris Curtis headbutt. And then a Roman Dolidze win, which surprised me because I for sure went Roman Dolidze in that fight. Currently, odds for this fight, D-Rose, are plus 102 for Jared Cannonier and minus 122 for Nasruddin Imavov. So it has closed up a little bit, but earlier in the week, Jared Cannonier was like minus 115, I think, something like that. So dropped a little bit, and I see why, man. So let's get into it. Jared Cannonier, 40 years old, 5'11" and a 77.5-inch reach, while Nasruddin Imavov, 28 years old, 6'3" and a 75-inch reach. So I am going to say this. I think Jared Cannonier wins this fight via decision. As the dog, I think he wins this fight via decision, but you should probably get him now because the line's probably going to flip, even if it's not flipped on some books already. When the weigh-ins happen, you'll see that Jared Cannonier is just going to be so much more jacked than Imavov is. The thing is, you would think with all that muscle, Jared Cannonier would get tired over the 5 rounds, but he really doesn't. But Nasruddin does get tired, but I think it's because he bounces so much. He uses so much energy with that little fucking bounce that he's on that he ends up just getting tired. So I have a hard time seeing him go 5 rounds, to be honest. So yeah, give me Jared Cannonier to win this fight in round 4, 5, or decision. So late knockout or decision win for Jared Cannonier. You want to tell me about the Marvin Vettori fight and which way you're going here, D-Rose?
Yes, because I actually went back and watched that Marvin Vettori fight again the other day. It's one of the UFC kind of like, promoting the fight card coming up. They'll post the fighters' most recent fights and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And dude, I've never had bigger lemon booty for a bet in my life than Jared Cannonier by decision against.
Like you were like fucking messaging me during that fight. I'm like, dude, calm down. No one's finishing Marvin.
I was like, dude, I knew I should have just taken Jared Cannonier straight up. But I tried to get the line a little bit juicier. I tried to take him by decision. He's about to finish Marvin in the second round. Dude, how Marvin Vettori survived that onslaught. Dude, and for the next 2 rounds, Jared Cannonier broke the most significant strikes landed record against Marvin Vettori halfway through the third round. There were still 2.5 more rounds to go. They had half the third round and the fourth and the fifth as well. He shattered the significant strike record in a middleweight fight for did Cannonier. So the dude is absolutely game. The only thing that is going to worry me about him is coming off that torn ACL. I think, as far as Nasruddin, because Nasruddin does have good footwork, as my camera decides to start getting foggy on me here. Nasruddin has really good footwork, and he was able to use that against Roman Dolidze in his last fight, and was even actually able to use that to set up some counter shots to hurt Roman Dolidze. So Jared Cannonier, if he's not too careful, he can walk into a big shot potentially, especially trying to chase Imavov down. But I think as long as he gets his range, he does have the reach advantage as well. And he used a lot of his wrestling in that last fight against Marvin Vettori as well. And, dude, Jared Cannonier's ground and pound is damn near some of the best in the game, even though you don't think about him as a ground and pound artist. Like, when he has somebody on the ground, like, dude, he is intending to hurt somebody. It's not just pitter-patter.
Derek Lewis
dude.
level.
Yes, I was going to say the two biggest ground punchers in the game are probably Derek Lewis and Jared Cannonier, dude. Jared Cannonier's ground and pound is ruthless, so I think he's going to use a lot more of his well-rounded game. I think you're going to see some takedowns from Jared Cannonier here. I do think he's going to get it by decision, but I am with you as far as placing the bet 4-5 for decision as well. I think Jared Cannonier gets it done.
All right, so me and D Rose both on the underdog in the main event, the Killer Gorilla, Jared Cannonier. So with that being said, shout out Frank for the 10 euro super sticker. Shout out Frank for that. I think that's even more than US dollars. That's probably like $12.50 US. So shout out Frank. I appreciate it, brother. Dave Fisher Day says hot lemon booty. That's some bitch was pucker. Indeed. So yeah, D-Rose, that is all of our different picks. Let's see here. Hopefully. Shout out Lush. You are the man. Hell yeah. We had 5 different fights, D-Rose, but I get the pleasure of picking them this week. So our 5 different picks that we have are Eduardo Mora versus Denise Gomes, where I'm on the dog. Denise Gomes, you're on the favorite, Eduardo Mora. We have Daniel Marcos versus John Castaneda, where I am on the favorite. Daniel Marcos, you're on the dog, John Castaneda. Charlie Radke versus Carlos Prates, where I'm on the favorite. Carlos Prates, you're on the dog, Charlie Radke. Thiago Moises versus Ludovic Klein. And Punahele Soriano versus Miguel Baeza, dude. So, this is a tough one for me, D-Rose, because I think the first one happens. However, women's MMA is tough. Maybe Eduardo is just that bitch, Maybe she goes in there, just grounds and pounds her, and just too strong for her. She's a big girl. So I don't think I'm going to include the first one. And I don't like Ludovic Klein versus Thiago Moises. So I think
I knew it.
I think the 3 I'm going to do are Daniel Marcos versus John Castaneda, which is a good close line fight. They're both like fucking minus fucking 105 or some shit like that. So that one's close line. They're both basically the favorite. Charlie Radke versus Carlos Prates is the one that I feel least confident on here. And then, of course, I'm going to keep the one that I'm most confident on. Even though I got the dog in Punahele Soriano, I think he snoozes Miguel Baeza this fucking Saturday. That's just what it is. I could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time, but if I'm right, I'm going to make some money. So shout out Frank one more time. So thank you, Lush, for being an absolute fucking gentleman, for taking care of all that. I know you're going through some shit, Lush, but just know that we got our thoughts and prayers out to you, Lush. Just yeah, man. Just keep doing what you got to do, man. And if you need anything from me, brother, just reach out to me. I'll do anything to help, man. So shout out Lush one more time. So anything else you would like to talk about, D Rose, before we get out of here, man?
No, man. I think good pod, and there are some decent pockets to make some money this weekend. So good luck to the boys this weekend on the bets out there, and let's hopefully make some good money this weekend and enjoy some good fights.
Hell yeah, I agree. So we got Dave Fish for Dave's positive vibes, Lush, and then Lush saying, "I'm here for the boys." I appreciate
Yes,
you,
sir.
Lush. You are an absolute gentleman, my guy. So
Pray to you, brother.
yeah. With that being said, D Rose, you are more than welcome to join me Change Cheddar Friday, but always, you don't have to. Only if you feel like, hey, I got some plays. You don't have to, but if not, I'll be here Friday for Change to Cheddar. I hope you guys enjoyed the midnight rip last night. D Rose, I don't know if you guys saw that, dude. These fucking boxes, right? They're like 300. This is an empty one, but it's like $300. It's like 8 cards, and dude, I had opened 3 of them, dude. My first box was good. I got like a Diego Lopez out of 12, just a base card. But if I sold it, it would be like $500. But obviously, I'm not going to sell it because I keep all my shit until it's not worth anything. And then my next 2 boxes were just dog shit. I got Tito Ortiz autographs, Dominic Reyes like fucking autographs. I'm like, I got a fucking Maserati Conejo. I'm like, fuck, dude, like.
That's your girl.
Like, I know, but come on, man. Like, and then so I didn't get shit, dude. And then the one I was opening last night, it fucking started off with Jack Jenkins, and then the 2 cards in the back, I don't even fucking remember. But my first 2 autographs were fucking Tito Ortiz and Parker Porter last night, dude. I was like, fuck, dude, here it goes again. Here it goes again. And my last autograph in the box was a Diego Lopez rookie autograph out of 12, dude. It saved it, dude. I was like, yes, dude. It helped out so much. So it helped. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I have to get some information about when the next UFC card products are going to come out. So expect some information on that from me here soon. But yeah, with that being said, yeah, catch me here Friday, Change the Cheddar. Me and D Rose will be back here next Wednesday for the Golden Octagon MMA podcast. And yeah, with that being said, I will see you guys on Friday. Peace.
Peace.